Welcome back, Draft Maniacs. It's Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings, and it's been a minute since we did a mock draft breakdown. Now, in case you haven't seen this already, this was from last week at our website, noceilingsnba.com. Go check it out. It's absolutely free, no cost whatsoever. You get around-the-year draft coverage. But for all of you regulars, our No Ceilings family, we love you. Thank you guys for your continued support. Now, here's a quick breakdown before we get into the madness. These are our top 60 picks. Scratch that. Top 58. Thanks, Adam Silver. We've got analysis and highlights for every single selection. Now, because this was from last week, that's the order from last week. Stats are going to be from last week. So, yes, we understand college players, international players have continued to be playing right now, but this is the important part of the year. We're about to reach March, which means March Madness is right around the corner. That means things are going to start heating up in the draft world. Players are starting to cement themselves as legit candidates for this year's class. Some players might be heating up on radars when it comes to upcoming draft classes if they're going to return. So this is really important time of the year to get a grasp of where players can be when it comes to big board rankings, mock draft rankings, all that fun stuff. While we're at it, if you haven't checked out, we also launched a big board last week at noceilingsnba.com. That was our top 60 rankings. Go check that out. As we said, it's always free. But for now, it's good to be back on the madness grind. Hope you guys enjoy this mock draft installment. We will have updated mock drafts moving forward as the draft cycle and draft season officially turns it up another notch. Pray for Victor, Houston. That's exactly what Rockets fans are hoping, to get some luck on lottery night. Victor Wembanyama has been one of the most exciting prospects in recent draft history. Wembanyama has the tools to become a franchise-changing piece at the next level with defensive upside, floor spacing potential, and just flat-out nastiness on both sides of the floor. He's been doing a great job this year with the Metropolitans 92 and has continued to dazzle fans with his display of versatility on both sides of the court. Don't overthink this one. It's Victor. In any other draft class, G League Ignite guard Scoot Henderson would be the first overall pick. But this year, it looks like it's going to be a two-headed monster, and whoever gets the second pick should be calling Scoot's name on draft night. Henderson would slide in with the San Antonio Spurs and give them another lethal piece to grow with. With Vassell, Keldon Johnson, an intriguing roster that's growing, shout out Jeremy Sohan's hair, Scoot would be a fantastic get for this organization if they don't land the number one pick. Henderson's been showing some great improvements this year with the Ignite. His playmaking's been fantastic, his pace for the game, his control has been awesome. Brandon Miller finds himself going to Charlotte at number 3 in this mock draft. Miller's been outstanding for the Crimson Tide in his freshman year. You're talking about a 6'9" wing that can shoot the lights out and has shown special stuff when it comes to his playmaking upside. Miller also has been hitting the boards like a madman this year. A lot of people will think that Miller has a chance to overcome Scoot at number 2. I'm not there yet, but hey, there's plenty out there. For right now, Miller is trending as a top 3 pick and continues to put up big production for the Crimson Tide. At number 4, the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, we don't have that Thompson twin. We've got the other one. Asar Thompson has been absolutely outstanding this year in the Overtime Elite. Now, there's going to be plenty of debate about the Twins when it comes to where should they go. Should they be a top 3 pick? Should they be closer to the top 10? Right now, we still are very high on him at No Ceilings. Asar has been really, really special this year. The shot looks like it's coming along beautifully. It's cooled off a little bit as of late, but the strides forward he's taken this year have been just outstanding. Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, you add Asar Thompson into that mix, especially with his defensive upside, Detroit would be having something cooking in a hurry. Of course, we're in February, folks. A lot can change, but right now we got Asar Thompson go to Detroit, and we think that's a great fit. The Orlando Magic should be one of the most exciting teams in the draft because, hey, Magic fans, you got the shot to have 2 lottery picks, almost 2 top 10 picks. They could go another number of different directions. You got Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, a lot of guys grooming in the wings, and we love the idea at No Ceilings of Amen Thompson in and up in Orlando. And you're talking about a 6'7" playmaking guard you could throw on the wing that would create a lot of length, excitement. Amen has all the tools to go as high as in the top 3. He's been sensational. The athleticism is outstanding. There's plenty of us at No Ceilings that absolutely love his game. But for right now, we think his skill set ending up at 5 in Orlando would be a dream fit. You're talking about a great addition with his skills, his size, and the upside. Orlando is trending in the right direction in a hurry. Paulo's been fantastic this year, adding a playmaker like Amen who could pair beautifully with what they got going on right there. That'd be a big step for the Magic moving forward. This is where things get interesting, as the No Ceilings crew in our latest mock draft had Jarris Walker going to the Indiana Pacers. Now, Indiana's going to be a little bit of a wild card in this mock draft because right now they're at 6, and Indiana's had a really promising year. You're talking about they're taking a big step towards rebuilding that future. Tyrese Halliburton's been outstanding. Benedict Matherin's been sensational. Could be a Rookie of the Year candidate if it wasn't for Paulo. So where does Indiana go? They just re-signed Miles Turner. They've got some depth. I think Jarris Walker, we've had this discussion in our war room. Jarris Walker's just got too much tools that some team's going to say, hey, we can't let this guy get past us. Now, some people might have preferred to go a different direction, but Walker's skill set, you're adding him to the future foundation for the Pacers, putting him alongside Mathurin and Halliburton, that's just too special, too unique, and Walker is really trending in the right direction. You're talking about a guy that could go in the top 4. His defensive versatility has been outstanding. His playmaking is ridiculous. If you haven't, go watch his IMG Academy film. I mean, he's got scary playmaking vision all over the court. So Walker here at the top 6 seems like a slam dunk for Pacers fans. All right, Pelicans fans, you want some buckets? We're going to get you some. Now, New Orleans is another team that just continues to stockpile interesting assets. They got one of the most intriguing rosters. Of course, it relies on Zion being healthy, but New Orleans is going to have a shot to have the rich get richer. Keontae George came into this year. Everyone thought he was going to be a bucket. He's been sensational, but the thing that's really stood out besides his scoring upside has been his playmaking ability. He's trending up towards becoming a potential top 5 pick. He might be top 7, but landing here in New Orleans gives New Orleans another dangerous weapon to groom with for the future. And hey, Pelicans fans should be happy with that. You get to put Keontae right behind CJ McCollum to learn for a little bit. I think that's a bright future and a great fit for both. A bit of a wild man when it comes to this draft class has become Nick Smith Jr. Now, preseason, Nick was considered a potential top 4 prospect, top 4 pick. And, when he's been on the floor for Arkansas, it's very exciting. He shows why he was highly regarded, shows the upside, but there's going to be some questions, and obviously the medicals are going to be important moving forward. He's had some knee injury problems this year, just returned to the lineup, and it's going to be fascinating to monitor that moving forward when it comes to Nick Smith Jr. He shows the flashes, he shows the multi-level scoring upside, ending up in Toronto where they desperately need a guard with Fred VanVleet about to hit free agency, and Nick Smith's offensive shooting and upside, that would be a great fit moving forward. Now, coming into this year, Villanova freshman Cam Whitmore, there was some buzz. He could be a top 5 guy. Has all the tools. He had a fantastic summer playing in FIBA. The three-point shot looked to be coming along. Had that thumb injury in the preseason that's kept him out for the first half of the season, but throughout this year, he's shown some serious flashes. Now, Whitmore's got to work on the handles a little bit, get it going, but when you see the pops, it really jumps off the screen. I mean, he is an absolute freight train when he's attacking the basket. He can posterize and dunk with anger. The rest of the game needs to come along a little bit more efficiently, but there's going to be plenty of fans of Whitmore's upside in this lottery. It would not shock me if he still goes in the top 10. Right now, we got him going number 9 to Washington. That's at a position where it's, hey, take the talent, take the upside, run with it. All right, so what we said earlier, Orlando, they've got a shot to have some really exciting potential pairings when it comes to this lottery. We're giving them Jett Howard at number 10. They got him in Thompson and their playmaking at 5. At 10, you're going to get a shooter, get another weapon with size on the wing. So you're talking about Jett Howard, who's been fantastic for Michigan this year. When it comes to movement shooting, just shooting the lights out from deep, really smart player, high basketball IQ on the offensive side of the floor. The defense needs to come along, but it's shown some growth throughout the year. And, of course, everyone's going to point at the fact that his dad's Juwan Howard. Bloodlines are never a bad thing, especially in front offices. They're going to fall in love with that. So, Jett, I think is trending towards becoming more of a top 10 candidate. Right here, he's going to Orlando. Magic fans would be doing a backflip if they left the lottery with those two players. This is where things get interesting because Arkansas freshman Anthony Black has been just simply outstanding this year. He's 6'7", playmaking versatility, offensive upside, everything you want to see from a potential connecting piece. And I think people might see that as a bad statement when you're talking about a connector. And I mean that in the best way. I think a lot of us at No Ceilings mean that in the best way. Anthony Black's just been awesome, especially with Nick Smith and Devon Brazile going down this year. He's really stepped up his play. Black's going to be a guy that you really could see front offices falling in love with. And now, although we have him 11th right now on our latest mock draft, you're talking about a guy that he could get up there in the top 6. And all it takes is one team to fall in love with him. But Anthony Black's been fantastic. Right now, we got him going to Portland. Portland will be in a position where they're still trying to add some pieces to the puzzle. And if Anthony Black's on the board at 11, they might not be able to pass that up. We like to call this one Curveball City. Now, before you all freak out, you might think this is a wild card, but you should not. Now, Taylor Hendricks of UCF has been sensational this year. He's putting up production. He's been consistent. He's been efficient. He's got a lot of tools in his shed. He's 6'9", 210 pounds, freshman forward that has shown he can do a little bit of everything. You're talking about a floor spacer who's got a consistent shot. He's been producing every night. Even when the shot's not falling, he's impacting on the boards. He's impacting defensively. He's got a little bit of nastiness around the basket, and he can rim protect with some of the best of them. Now, Hendricks, we have going here at 12 to OKC, which some might consider as the reach, but Hendricks can play, and our thought process was OKC's in a position where they need to keep adding the right pieces to the puzzle. They got a lot of stuff going in the right direction right now. If you're adding Hendricks to the mix next to potentially a healthy Chet Holmgren next year, Shea, Giddey, OKC could have some fun stuff going. Right now, Hendricks is becoming one of the hottest names in draft circles, and we've got him in the lottery. This one seems like it makes too much sense, so we'll see if this even has a chance of happening when it comes around to the draft. But Kentucky freshman Cason Wallace has just been fantastic this year. Coming into the year, a lot of us at No Ceilings were hoping and wondering if the shot was going to come around on a more consistent level, and he's been outstanding for that Wildcats team. Kentucky struggled this year, but Wallace has continued to put together really strong performances on a nightly basis, and it's sort of one of those things where you're getting a very talented defender, one of the best on-ball defenders in the country right now, and Wallace just knows how to play at his pace, and there's an argument to be made he could be one of the safest picks when it comes to the lottery. So we got Wallace going to Utah. Utah's got a chance to have 2 picks in the lottery. After an impressive year, Utah could be taking a big step after this class. We're pairing Grady Dick with Cason Wallace to give Utah 2 backcourt weapons on the wings, if you want to put it that way. Hey, Grady Dick has been fantastic for Kansas this year. 6'8" freshman, can shoot the lights out, and he's had some stretches this year where he's just gone on a tear. What's been really impressive with Dick is his ability to read the floor when it comes to vision. Smart basketball player on both sides of the floor. He's had some games with a high number of steals. Grady is also an underrated athlete. He can get up and he can throw down some nasty slams. So Utah all of a sudden leaving this lottery with a potential point guard for the future and an offensive weapon on the wings that can really shoot it. That seems like a great addition for the Jazz fan base. Plenty of fans out there have been saying, hey, is Jalen Hood-Schifino going to be a returner? No, he's coming out, folks. All jokes aside, Hood-Schifino's been fantastic after the midpoint of the season. He stepped in once Xavier Johnson went down with an injury, and Hood-Schifino's been a big boost for this Hoosiers team. 6'6" freshman who really plays the game under control with poise, pace. He's a bit of a mid-range assassin, but the three-point shot has looked encouraging this year. He's a name that really is heating up when it comes to lottery conversations, and if Hood-Schifino can continue to play at this type of level with a little bit more consistent of a stretch, there's going to be plenty of fans in front offices because of the size, the versatility, the playmaking. There's a lot of really fun tools in the shed that are waiting to be unlocked. Might be rich for some taste, but the War Room at No Ceilings had Chris Murray going 16th to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, every draft comes down to fit, and the Lakers are going to be in a position where, of course, if they, decide to try to get away from swinging for upside, they want to get a potential contributor early on. Murray's going to have one of the best resumes to go forward with that. Smart player with good touch around the basket, can space the floor. Murray's been outstanding this year. The twin brother of Keegan Murray, who went with the Sacramento Kings last year, Chris has really taken a step up when it comes to kind of handling the load for the Hawkeyes this year. He's put up big numbers. He's shown some playmaking ability on both sides of the floor. So when you're talking about adding a nice, intelligent player who isn't afraid of the moment to a team like the Lakers, Chris Murray might not be the biggest upside swing, but he might be a great fit for the Lakers. At 17, the Golden State Warriors are going to take one of the hottest names right now in front offices. That's Rayan Rupert, the French-born prospect who's been playing in the NBL for the NZ Breakers. Now, Rupert is a 6'7", 192-pound pest. He's lengthy. He's reportedly got a 7'3" wingspan. Lot of upside. One of the youngest players in this class. He's a defensive specialist with a shot that has taken a big step forward in the right direction compared to this summer from FIBA. Rupert's got a lot of skills. This is not just a potential 3-and-D project. This is a guy that has tools to become a serious player at the NBA level. So he's going 17 right now to Golden State, which really could use another defensive weapon. They need some raw talent that could really come in and just get after it on the defensive side of the ball while all the tools come together. And Rupert would be a fantastic addition, but don't be surprised if he's off the board in the next couple months. Maxwell Lewis, who likes to be called Max. Max has been fantastic for Pepperdine this year in his sophomore year. You're talking 6'7" with crazy upside. Kind of a late bloomer who's really started to play organized basketball late in his career. There's some scary upside with Maxwell Lewis, and he was on an efficient tear early on in this season. Now he's cooled off a little bit as of late, just had a bounce-back performance against Gonzaga, but you're talking about a guy that has real upside, and teams are going to need to be patient while that upside develops. Lewis is still kind of figuring out what he can do on the court, and some of the flashes he shows, even when he misses, are scary, but if some team can be patient and allow him to continue to develop, he's got the tools to be a serious force on the offensive side of the ball. All right, before all of you try to jump through the computer and say this is going way too late for Gregory, we understand, we get it. But hey, every draft class is going to get some slips through the cracks. Gigi Jackson's still a fan favorite over here at No Ceilings, but right now he's going 19 to the Portland Trailblazers. Now let's talk about Gigi. He's going to be one of the youngest guys in this class. He reclassified from North Carolina to join South Carolina this year. The offensive upside is absolutely terrifying. It's so special. He's smooth. He's 6'9". He moves like a wing. There's a lot of really special tools when it comes to the offensive upside. The efficiency has been lacking a little bit, but it's important to remember how young he is. He's supposed to technically be a senior in high school, and he's playing in an SEC. You know, he's playing grown man ball. So Gigi's really shown that he can light it up from outside. He's shown some offensive craziness when it comes to the footwork flashes. There's a lot of tools. Now, some team's going to need to be patient with those tools, which, although he could be going much earlier in this draft, things can change, especially when a talent like Gigi gets in front of front office members and executives. He can light up a gym. And for right now, he's going right inside the top 20, but that does not mean he can't go much earlier in updated mock draft projections. Brooklyn Nets basketball is becoming all about buckets now. Shout out Cam Thomas. And we're going to give him another bucket getter. Bryce Sensabaugh of Ohio State has been an absolute machine when it comes to lighting up the scoring column this year for the Buckeyes. Now, Sensabaugh is going to have some questions because there's no denying how special the talent is when it comes to tough shot making, efficiency. He's been just really, really strong this year for the Buckeyes. He's 6'6", 235, at least that's what he's listed at. And Sensabaugh has a beautiful shot from outside. At some point in the draft, teams are going to be looking for a guy that could just flat out light it up, you know, when it comes to coming in and providing offense. That's every year there's a team that's looking for those guys. Sensabaugh is going to have one of the best resumes when it comes to people that can just score from anywhere. So right now he's going to Brooklyn at 20. He could be a name that keeps trending upwards if he keeps this up. One of the biggest mysteries of this class has been Duke freshman Dariq Whitehead. Beginning of the year, Dariq looked like a potential top 6 pick. Now, he's dealt with some inconsistent play throughout the year. He's had a little bit of an injury bug. He just came back, and the stats won't suggest that he deserves to be a lottery pick, but the talent and the flashes are going to be stuck in the head of plenty of scouts and executives. Although we've got him at 21, there's still a lot at no ceilings that really think highly of Dariq. One of the most promising developments as of late has been his outside shot. Dariq's return to the court. He's shown that his outside shot is further developing. He had a preseason leg injury, and it just hasn't looked like his body's been completely healthy. So if he can get healthy and showcase his previous form from high school, which if you go watch his high school tape, there's some scary defensive upside too. And if that form of Dariq can come back, some team's going to get a heck of a player, and they might get great value while they're also on the board. I mean, if you're looking for an absolute bucket, Jordan Hawkins of UConn is going to be at the top of your list. UConn's been a team that's been a force throughout the year, and Hawkins can light it up. I mean, he runs miles to come off screens, get buckets, shoot the lights out. He's been putting up big numbers, and he also has got some athleticism at 6'5". He can drive down the lane and throw down with a little bit of anger. So Hawkins got a lot of tools. A lot of stuff going for him. Still a young talent, and he can really get the shot up quick. It's consistent. Movement shooter. He can come down everything. So offensively, there's a lot of tools. Defensively, there's some upside. I still personally believe he's a top 20 pick. At 22, that would be great value for the Miami Heat. I know we got some no ceilings fans that are really, really high on him. Now, this is where we start to get into the point of the draft where you're starting to look a little bit more towards developmental projects. Julian Phillips came into the year. He's one of the top, incoming freshman prospects when it just came to keep an eye on him. A lot of people thought he was going to be a top 20 pick. Phillips hasn't really, it was all depending on the outside shot developing. And it's shown some flashes, but it hasn't really come around on a consistent basis. He's had some games this year with eye-opening box scores. He's had some games this year where it's been quiet. Some think he could return. Some think there's just going to be too much intrigue when it comes to a developmental piece moving forward. We're adding him to the Sacramento Kings right now, Light the Beam, who have been just fantastic this year. And Phillips, adding a talent like him, who he's nasty defensively, there's a lot of upside, especially for a 6'8", 200-pound wing. Great value right here, and worth the roll of the dice to get a piece like that could really blossom into a versatile asset for your team. At 24, the Brooklyn Nets, with their second pick in the first round, they're going to get some depth in the big man, in the front court. We're going to give them Deron Holmes of Dayton. Now, Holmes has been having another great year for the Flyers. He's listed at 6'10", 225. He does his damage around the basket. He's got good touch. He can get a little nasty. Dayton loves to feed him. And Holmes will flash plenty of times on tape. He can dunk around anger. He's not afraid when he gets around that basket to let defenders know just how physical he can be. Right here, for a team like Brooklyn that's just looking to add more pieces to the puzzle, Holmes would be great depth. Colby Jones has been one of the more versatile guards this year in college basketball. Just a really intelligent player for Xavier, 6'6", 205. He fills up the box score on a nightly basis. A lot of scouts coming into the year were wondering if Jones's outside shot was going to take that next step, and he showed that early in the year, and it's been consistent ever since. You're talking about a guy that's had shooting splits around 50-40 when it comes to being a consistent threat on the court. Jones going here to Memphis would just be adding another piece to the puzzle with versatility to play multiple positions and a smart, intelligent player on the court at all times. Now, although we got Terquavion Smith going 26th here to the Indiana Pacers, it's been important to point out just how brilliant Terquavion's been in his sophomore year. A lot of people thought he was going to declare and keep his name in the draft after an impressive combine last year. Terquavion decided to return to NC State for his sophomore season. The efficiency will scare some, but the jump in assists per game has been eye-opening this year when it comes to evaluating Terquavion Smith. He's attacking the basket much more aggressively this year. He's shown the ability to finish, and obviously the outside shooting is going to always be there. Terquavion's got the greenest light since J.R. Smith in the world, so he's got the ability to be a microwave scorer at the next level. Indiana, yes, they have some talented guards in their disposal, but adding another flamethrower like Terquavion Smith to the mix would be great depth at this point of the draft. Noah Clowney's got the potential to take advantage of this big class that's sort of struggled to cement itself when it comes to the talent. Clowney's been really impressive this year. There's a bundle of upside with his game. He's got a smooth stroke from outside. He plays the game in a smart way. Shown some shot blocking upside too for Alabama. He's a name that you got to keep an eye on, especially with Bama looking like a team that could make a lengthy tournament run. Clowney could be a name that starts to rise. Marcus Sasser missed most of last year with an ACL injury, and this year it's taken him a while to knock the rust off. But right now, Sasser is on a tear, and he's starting to get that mojo back and look a little bit like the player of old. He's feisty, he's competitive, he can score in bunches, and he can light it up in a hurry. At some point of the draft, when teams are looking for some depth in their rotation or a change of pace guard, Sasser's going to be one of the top names to keep an eye on. Really can impact the game with just how competitive and gritty he can be on the court. And if that shot is coming around on an efficient rate and his athleticism and medicals check out, someone's going to get a heck of a player, potentially in the late first with great value. Another guard that continues to get slept on is TCU's Mike Miles Jr. Now, he's young for a junior, folks. Remember this. He is young for a junior. 6'2", 195, and Mike Miles will go to war with anyone. He's got great feel for the game. He's got underrated burst. He's physical. Mike Miles can hoop, and he's been putting up some really big performances. If you go watch that game on the road against Baylor, it's going to be hard for you not to be a fan of Mike Miles. So adding him here at 29 to the Los Angeles Clippers would just be getting another great piece of the puzzle. This is where we could get a little crazy when it comes to projecting an out-of-the-box pick. Derek Lively II has been one of the most fascinating prospects to evaluate in this class. Lively was considered by many the number one prospect in high school basketball. Really has struggled with Duke this year when it comes to getting consistent minutes and getting a general role on offense. But that's the negatives. The positives have been really intriguing when it comes to the defensive potential. The shot blocking ability has been remarkable. If you go watch that game against North Carolina, you're going to be convinced that this is a first-round pick. Now, Indiana is going to have themselves right now with 3 first-round picks. Do I think that they'll keep all those picks? Probably not. If they do, for mock draft purposes, we don't project trades. If they do, why not throw a little bit of a roll of the dice at Lively? Yes, they have Isaiah Jackson. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, they have Miles Turner. They just signed an extension. I'm not familiar with that. Thanks for reminding me. All jokes aside, sometimes you can't pass up on talent. And Lively at 30, if they're convinced of the, 1 year doesn't tell everything, they might jump all over that value. Bilal Coulibaly of the Metropolitan 92s has started to make a serious amount of noise in draft circles. Talking about a 6'6" wing with athleticism. He's got swagger. There's a lot of really fun tools to his game. Coulibaly obviously has been getting the attention of scouts while playing minutes along Wembanyama this year. That's the name to keep an eye on. He's really climbing up boards, and he could be an end of the first, late first, kind of roll the dice as a developmental piece, or he could be a priority target in the second round. Nikola Jurisic has been playing with Mega this year. There's a chance that Jurisic could be a first-round pick still. 6'8", crazy feel for the game on the offensive side of the ball. Really tough, really competitive, Serbian-born. The outside shot just has not come around like scouts were expecting it to. If it can, Jurisic is a mid-range assassin right now. And there's going to be plenty of mid-range haters around the NBA. But if the outside shot could come around, there's a lot to like about his game. So keep an eye on that. The playmaking is absurd. What else does Jalen Wilson need to do for Kansas to start getting in the first round? Right now, he's going 33rd to the Detroit Pistons. But Wilson's been doing a little bit of everything for the Jayhawks this year. They've leaned on him to score at a high clip. He's impacted the boards. He's done a great job with playmaking. He's done a little bit of everything, like I just said. So at some point of the draft, some team's going to look at Wilson and say, hey, you're going to come in and we're not going to lean on you to be the bucket launching machine. If you can play more efficiently and be a nice piece, we're going to get a steal. So at 33, this could be an absolute robbery. For now, he's going to Detroit, who continue to add pieces to the puzzle. There's plenty of Kyle Filipowski truthers out there, and we hear you loud and clear. Filipowski came into the year as one of the top prospects out of the high school basketball ranks. There's a lot of tools and a lot of flashes you can get intrigued with. He's got some good footwork. He plays extremely hard, got a little bit of swagger. The outside shot just is the only thing holding him back. If it could get a little bit more consistent because it looks smooth, that's where Filipowski could really become a serious steal in this class. For now, we got him going 34. Charlotte needs to get some more depth in that front court. Another potential valued steal in this class could be 6'7" wing Julian Strother, who's been just absolutely outstanding for Gonzaga this year. Strother just keeps getting better every year. He's probably one of the best rebounding wings we will have in this class. He's nasty. The outside shot's really starting to cook right now. He's been having an outstanding stretch for the Bulldogs. This is a name that could go in the late first round, and he could be a second round pick. You damn get excited about if you're a fan base. So Strother's a name to keep an eye on. This is one of those valued selections that could become an absolute steal. Azulis Tubelis of Arizona, we have going to the Sacramento Kings at 36. Tubelis is going to be one of those interesting conversations, folks. You're talking 6'11", 245 junior who is having a massive year for the Wildcats. He's taken a huge step forward from that sophomore year. Extremely skilled around the basket. Great feel for the game. Don't get fooled by that 39% from three. That's on a low volume, but the shot has looked promising. Tubelis also knows that's not his bread and butter. He's a guy that runs the floor and is one of the best in the country when it comes to bigs in transition. So at 36, for a team like the Kings that could be looking to add some front court depth, Tubelis could be a great selection here. Trace Jackson Davis, personally, I don't know what else he's got to do to go in the first round. But our No Ceilings crew fought hard, and we ended up having him at 37 to the Lakers. TJD's going to have some NBA front office that's buying the upside, regardless of his age. He's a senior. He's 6'9", 245. He might be a forward. He might be a center. At one point, the production has been too ridiculous to ignore. TJD has been on a warpath this year for the Hoosiers. He's putting up great numbers. The playmaking is the biggest development of his game. It's really jumped this year, and he's becoming a more well-rounded player. If some teams convinced that outside shot can develop down the road, TJD could be a steal. If you're looking for a big man that is quietly storming up some draft boards, Adem Bona of UCLA, the talented freshman, is the name you need to keep an eye on. Bona came in from overseas, got a little bit of a slow start to the year, and right now he's been too impressive to keep off the court. His numbers aren't going to wow you, but if you go turn on his defensive tape, he is a madman on the court. This is a bull in a china shop, especially if he gets the ball in the paint. He will dunk as hard as possible and try to break everything that is existing on the backboard. Bona's got legit tools, legit upside. Would not surprise me or the No Ceilings crew if he's started creeping towards the end of the first round. There's an argument that obviously besides Victor, this could be one of the best defensive bigs in this class. Right now he goes to San Antonio, who will, probably turn him into a Hall of Famer because that's what they do. OKC Thunder fans have already come with us at pitchforks for this selection, so YouTube, you're up next. Khalil Ware was one of the potential lottery picks going into this season. 7 foot, can shoot it from outside, has some defensive upside. It just has been a strange year. It looks like it's been a weird fit with him playing at Oregon. There's been questions. There's been questions about the motor. There's been a lot of other concerns, but there's no denying that when Ware's rolling, the talent is really special. Now, OKC's done a great job the last couple of drafts of adding to their front court. Jalen Williams, not J-Dub, the charge-taking machine from Arkansas last year has looked great this year. Chet Holmgren is going to be coming back. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, they've done a great job. But Sam Presti's never afraid to roll the dice on upside. And Khalil Ware at 39 might be too intriguing of upside to pass up on. If you're looking for a 3-and-D wing, then Jalen Clark's going to be at the top of your list. At 6'5", 210 pounds, Clark plays on the court like he's an absolute vulture. He's a steal magnet, almost averaging 3 steals a game. The offense is taking another step forward this year. He was really cooking from outside when it came to his outside shot early on in the season. It's cooled down a little bit, but Clark has a lot of tools. He gets up the court in a hurry. He can be dangerous in transition. He's great around the basket. Clark would be a really good pick at this value. If you're talking about a guy that could also go earlier, the 25 to 40 range is going to have a lot of variables right now. And Clark goes 40 here. He's a guy that could end up in the end of the first round. It only takes one team. All right, we're warning you folks right now. This is the hottest name in draft circles. Kobe Bufkin came into this year as a sophomore that didn't put up a lot of production as a freshman. Right now, he is storming up boards. He is a sophomore, but he technically should be a freshman because of his age. Bufkin has the tools to be this year's Dalen Terry. Talking about a combo guard at 6'4" that plays with a little bit of swagger. He's got a great feel. He's got playmaking vision. The outside shot's taken a big step forward. He had a difficult start to the year shooting it from outside, and now he's starting to get on a heater, so don't get confused by that 32%. It should be much higher, but Bufkin's been sensational lately. A lot of people are considering him a first-round prospect. We have him at 41 right now. I promise you that number is going to be very high compared to the next updated mock draft. The Denver Nuggets at 42. We're going to give him Leonard Miller. Now, there's plenty of Leonard Miller fans out there. He's been outstanding for the G League Ignite this year. 6'10" forward. He's been putting up good numbers. The numbers have been too good to ignore for a while. Obviously, the outside shot's going to be the only thing holding Leonard Miller back. He's right around 30% right now, but he's averaging 15 and 8. Denver's never been afraid to get that high upside pick and add that to their roster. With Miller, you could get him in there and make him a playmaking guy who's going to do a lot of dirty work around the basket. So adding him at 42 seems like great value for the Nuggets. Jaime Jaquez continues to be one of the more underrated upperclassmen in this class. Talk about a player that's just really knows how to stand out on the court with his basketball IQ and his feel. He's smart. He's 6'7", but he really does play like a big man. He's just got good feel around the post. He can space the floor from deep, and he will battle with anyone across from him. So getting him and adding him to Charlotte seems like another smart selection to build out this Hornets roster. Andre Jackson Jr. of UConn is pretty much chaos on the basketball court. Sometimes it's glorious chaos. One of the best athletes in this class. Jackson's outside shot definitely needs to continue to develop. If a team is convinced they can unlock that shot on a consistent basis, they could have a really dangerous player. Because Jackson will attack the basket with vicious intentions. He's got playmaking upside. He's got great feel. He can cut. He can make defensive plays. He is a showstopper. The only thing holding him back is that shot. If that can come along on a more consistent level, NBA teams can be convinced this can be an Inspector Gadget type of player. This is the biggest home run swing you could possibly take, and a team like Memphis would not be afraid to do it. Baba Miller came in this year as a really intriguing talent for college basketball. He had spent most of the year overseas creating some buzz. 6'11" with a smooth outside shot, a bundle of tools that are just waiting to be unlocked. Miller got suspended by the NCAA, thanks a lot, for receiving funds to move over from Spain. That rule's really cool. So he didn't play a lot of games to start out the year. He's just starting to get his feet wet. Chances are he could either try to return for another year or he will declare regardless. Why would he want to stay around the NCAA? Being serious, though, they're starting to get some really intriguing flashes with Baba Miller. Now, a team could roll the dice on him in the second round saying, hey, we just want to develop him. There's a lot of fun stuff. Memphis would never be as scared to do that. Miller's shown that he could really be a fun asset to have down the road. So right now at 45, we're going to put him to the Memphis Grizzlies. Dylan Mitchell came into Texas this year as one of the more intriguing freshmen. He played at Montverde in high school. Really special athlete. He can get up and do some dangerous stuff. There's also an argument to be that he might be one of the more unique defenders in this class, but the offense has simply been lacking this year. Mitchell still hasn't really shown a lot of confidence in the outside shot. He's done a lot of his damage around the basket when it comes to oops, dunks, layups, so he will be a bit of a project. Doesn't mean he will declare. He could return, but for now we've got him going 46 to the Hawks, who could look at him as a long-term project. There's an argument to be made that Kevin McCullough could be one of the more underrated players in this entire class. Now you're talking 6'6", 210 pounds. McCullough's listed as a guard. He's more of just a damn hooper. He does a little bit of everything. He plays nasty defense. He's got good awareness. He can post up and be effective around the basket. The outside shot needs to come along on a more consistent level. Let me know if you've ever heard that on more of these players, but it's true with McCullough. He does a lot of really special tools. He plays winning basketball. He impacts the game. Some team's going to love him. Some front office is going to be convinced that he will play a very long time in the NBA. It's just, can that shot consistently come around? He's been one of the heart and souls of this Kansas Jayhawks team. His impact is bigger than the box scores. McCullough going here to 47 to the Cleveland Cavaliers would be great value. Arthur Kaluma, Creighton, was becoming a name that a lot of people thought, including us at No Ceilings, was going to break out this year and really cement himself as a potential top 20 pick. Unfortunately, that just hasn't happened. Kaluma started off the year. He's just been inconsistent. The shot hasn't really come along. Turnovers have been a bit of a problem. He's starting to show some signs of late. Now, if they could... We'll see if that means another platform is going to be reached when it comes to his game. But for now, Kaluma is starting to look like potentially a second-round valued pick. For now, we got him going to the Clippers at 48. Another young player to keep an eye on is Duke freshman guard Tyrese Proctor. Originally out of Australia, Proctor reclassified to join the Blue Devils this year. Got off to an intriguing start to start the season. Looked like a guy that could go in the first round still. There's a lot of buzz about him in the preseason. And, had some inconsistencies. Now he's starting to come back alive. Starting to show some intriguing flashes, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He is a problem defensively. So it's going to be interesting to monitor if Proctor could be a potential returner to Duke for another year, or if he could be a name that just starts to cement himself as a name. Or if he could be a name that starts to cement himself as a prospect that could be in this class. Right now, we've got him going 49th to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who would be very intelligent to take that talent, take that upside, and run with it. If it wasn't for an ACL injury, Trevon Brazile of Arkansas would potentially be a first-round pick in this year's class. Now, where that will put him when it comes to projections and draft range, that's going to be another story when it gets to time of medicals, the draft combine, all that fun stuff. Right now, we've got him going 50 to the Phoenix Suns. Brazile's shown that he can get up and throw down some nasty posters, as you just saw. He gets space to floor. He's got good size at 6'10". Phoenix, obviously, is going to need additional guys in the rotation. And Brazile could be, at this point, a really, really intriguing roll of the dice. Of course, if medicals check out and everything. There's a lot of tools there. One of the best stories in college basketball this year has been Keontae Johnson of Kansas State. Formerly one of the top recruits playing at Florida. Keontae collapsed on the court and, had to get permission to get medically cleared. Finally, he's back at Kansas State after transferring. He's been fantastic for them this year. A name to keep an eye on moving forward. He's been filling it up all over the place. Big, stocky, and just keep an eye on that one. That one's trending upwards. Brandon Pajemski. Shout out if I said that right. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. A name that's becoming too impressive to ignore. Right now, we've got him going 52nd to the Boston Celtics, but Santa Clara guard, shout out J-Dub, 6'5", has been putting up crazy numbers that are quickly getting the attention of scouts and personnel around the league. Brandon's been putting up close to 20 points per game. He's been hitting the boards. He's been filling up the assist columns. He's been doing a little bit of everything while being efficient. It's one of those names that you're quickly saying, why does he not deserve to go higher? Right now, we've got him at 52. He's trending up. Sidy Cissoko came into the year as one of the names to watch out for the G League Ignite. There's been plenty of exciting flashes. Sissoko's a little bit of nasty. He's got the flair as a playmaker. He's got some upside when it comes to his athleticism and nastiness around the basket, especially in transition. The outside shot, spoiler alert, it just needs to continue to develop. City could be a name that goes much earlier. Right now, we've got him to the Sacramento Kings at 53. It'd be a great value for him. This is the name to be careful of, ladies and gentlemen of the draft community. James Najee. Although we got him going at 54, this name could go much, much earlier. Najee's going to be probably the youngest player in this class. He's playing with FC Barcelona in the EuroLeague this year, playing limited minutes, but 18 years old. Nasty. Really, really nasty. Great athleticism, shows some soft hands. He's extremely raw, but there's a lot of talent and tools on both sides of the ball, especially when it comes to feel around the basket, finishing with power, and some shot blocking upside. So yes, we have him going at 54. Don't be surprised if this is a name that continues to trend upward. I can hear you all through the computer right now or the TV screen wherever you're watching this. Emoni Bates at 55, what are you talking about? Now look, Emoni's been one of the most exciting prospects in this year's class when it comes to his production. It's been an awesome story. Formerly reclassified, joined Memphis last year. It was a disaster there. Bates looks like he's been much more confident and comfortable this year. There's going to be plenty of questions, and it won't be shocking if some team is believing in the shot making and upside of Emoni Bates, especially at 6'10", at some point earlier in this draft. He's been putting up crazy numbers that are going to get everyone very excited, but the efficiency of the shot selection, some team's going to have to be convinced that it can all come around. This could be a name that returns for another year, but KJ Adams has been an underrated Swiss Army knife for the Jayhawks this year. Adams is a defensive wizard who has versatility, shot blocking upside, and really can finish around the basket with some touch. The outside shot needs to develop, but there's a lot of tools that are slowly developing, including some extremely absurd athleticism. At this point of the draft, some team like the Milwaukee Bucks could see the long-term picture when it comes to KJ Adams. He has the ability to be an impact early with his defensive ability. If the rest of the games come around, this could be a player that plays at the next level for a long time. The 57th and 58th picks are no longer here because of cheating. Shout out for forfeiting teams. So 59, we're going to Milwaukee. Terrence Shannon Jr., been a darling of draft fans for years, transferred this year to Illinois. Lengthy wing who could really get after on the defensive side of the ball. He's shown improvements when it comes to the outside shot this year, but scouts might be wanting more. Still, Terrence Shannon Jr. is going to have plenty of fans in front offices because of his defensive potential and the 3-and-D upside. At some point in the draft, the team's going to jump all over it, and at 59, Milwaukee would be that team. The final pick in this mock draft is Coleman Hawkins of Illinois going to the Boston Celtics. Now, Hawkins has been one of the more interesting prospects in this year's class. He has games where he can take over with his versatility on a number of occasions when it comes to outside shooting, finishing around the basket, playmaking, defensive potential, all of that. He's also had some games where it just simply hasn't been there. You go watch the Maryland game and he's launching from deep. You go watch other games and he's impacting the game without scoring. So at some point in the draft, there's going to be plenty of fans in front offices when it comes to Hawkins potentially as a guy who could just fill it up. We'll see if that could be the Celtics.